Welcome back, and in this session we're going to start looking at how to deploy templates on your SD-WAN topology. And we're going to see the feature templates, the device templates, and also the group templates. Before moving on to the practical part of this lab, we're going to read a couple of slides. So, issues with CLI configuration, version control, human errors, scaling considerations when deploying large number of devices. CLI configuration is not convenient for large networks. So we know if you can, it's easy to configure like 10 devices. It's not, it's becoming cumbersome. It will become difficult if you have to manage like 50, 100 devices. You're not going to be able to maintain standards, and it will be challenging to do that with CLI mode. There are a couple of issues: device versions, and models and technologies. Let's take an example for Cisco devices. We have XE. Some devices run with XE. Some devices run with XR. Some devices with iOS. Some devices Nexus. So basically, if you want to deploy QoS on a network that has this all this type of software running, if you have a network with devices running with all these type or all these softwares, you need to search the syntax for XE, the syntax for XR, the syntax for iOS. Even within iOS itself, some models do not support the same syntax. So going in order to deploy a specific technology, you need to spend time trying to figure out which command can be applied on this version, on this type of software. And that can take a good amount of time when you go into deep technologies like QoS, and basically like let's take an example of the DHCP values. How do you match it on all these type of devices? It can be really challenging. The other issue is the version control. The good thing with SD-WAN, with vManage, you can keep track of the config changes on your network. With Cisco, SD-WAN configuration management is maintained and standardized via templates engine that supports automatic rollback. So which means if you deploy a config that will cut that device from the network, like if you deploy a configuration and the device stops talking to vManage, vManage will roll back the previous config on that device, and that's really good thing, a good thing. Templates for different versions, operating system, and technologies are available. So basically, if we go in vManage, we go to configuration, templates. Let's take a look at feature templates, add template. You see we have a bunch of device models, and you don't need to worry about how to configure in ISR-v, in ISR 4461, on all this type, on ISR 1104. So you just select, let's say I select this one. It's gonna show me the templates that go with both, with this one as well, with this one. If there is any difference, it's going to remove. With the V8, you see those templates do not match. So you see, so basically you have this flexibility to create templates for a large number of device models also, but also device versions. So that's a really good thing. And in terms of the way you can deploy, we know you can deploy your SD-WAN devices using the console or SSH. That's the CLI mode. If we go to device 33, which has not been deployed yet in vManage mode, if I take this and I do configure, VPN 0 IP route 0000/0, and I add 100.133 like 3. I can commit this config, but if I want to do it on a device that's already part of the SD-WAN templates, which is in CLI in vmanage templates, I go config VPN 0 IP route 0000/0, and that's going to be on 100.133.3. If I do commit, oh sorry, let me, okay, if I do commit, you see I will get this response. This device is being managed by the vmanage configuration through CLI is not allowed. So that's just because if we go back to vmanage, we go to configuration, devices, we can see that these devices, the 22 which I try to configure, is already part of vmanage, and I mean it's on in vmanage. It's in vmanage mode, and the other devices are still in CLI mode. So in CLI mode I can type the commands, but in vmanage mode I can't type the commands. I need to deploy the configs via the vmanage. So that's the difference. And if we go back, so that's there is the CLI mode and the vmanage mode. The vmanage mode is the feature, the configuration using the vmanage mode is done through the feature templates that we're going to take a look at. If you would like to apply centralized policy on the vSmart controller, vSmart needs to be under the control of vmanage. When we're going to be able to configure the centralized policy, we will see that we will need to add vmanage to move vSmart from CLI mode to vmanage mode. When a device is controlled by vmanage, CLI changes are not possible. There are two types of templates: device template, feature templates. And with version 20.10.4, I think there are group templates, and we're going to see that. Feature templates provide the ability to create standard configs per technology. So you can create templates that will take care of the system items, the AAA, the OMP. Let's take a look at the structure of the config of an SD-WAN equipment. So basically we're going to take a look at, let's say, this 44, which is not yet configured. Let's treat 33. If I go show running config, I can check the entire configuration, okay? But if I go show running config system, this is a section of the running config, okay? And this section, let's take a look, as the host name or these items, and we have the section called AAA. This is where we can do the configure authentication, authorization, and accounting. And we have another section, logging, okay? So basically we have all these lines on the top, and we have two other major section, the AAA template, the AAA section, and the logging section. We might have other sections which are not enabled by default. So if we go to system, if I do question mark, you can see that we can add other items, other sections on this in this part of the config in the system part of the configuration. So if I go back, so that was the first major section, the system. The other major sections are the VPNs. So if I go VPN 0, this is the section of VPN 0. We can see that we have the VPN 0. Under it we have the DNS, servers. We have a host and the IP address related to this host name. We have the interface and we have the IP routes. So those are the components. We don't have VPN any service VPN yet. So let me be clear on this one. So with SD-WAN, let's bring the topology. You're going to have the VPN 0. Okay, VPN 0, which is the transport VPN. It's a default VPN. You can't delete it. It's like VLAN 1. So on this VPN, you're going to put the interfaces that are connected to your transports. And in this lab, we have the internet transport and the MPLS transport. You also have a service VPN. So this is, I'm going to add TRP for transport, and we have VPN 1 up to 511. These are the service VPN, and the service VPN are connected to the users. So if we wanna we can put all the users in one VPN, or we can put them in separate VPNs, and VPNs are just kind of it's the same as the VRF, the virtual routing forwarding technology. And we also have VPN 512, which is a default VPN. We cannot delete it. It's the management VPN. So these are the VPN that we have. The main VPN, we have VPN 0, the transport, the service VPNs from 1 to 511, and the management VPN 512. So those are sections that you can also create when you deploy. And let me give an example. I don't have any service VPN, so it's going to return an error, but the VPN 512 is a default VPN. So I went over that to understand that when you deploy your feature templates, it's kind of structured on depending on the technology. Device templates use feature templates to apply the configurations to devices types. Okay, let's move on to let's go to vManage and start creating our templates. You go to configuration templates, and we will start with feature templates. So basically it's gonna be as I described. We will need the first template is going to be the system template. Okay, it's gonna be the system templates. So before doing that, I'm going to everything is okay here. So I'm going to create a feature template for system. So I'm gonna click on feature templates. So, I'm clicking on feature templates. I'm already in the section. Sorry. So let's go to add templates, and we're going to select the device model. Okay, and you see these are the templates that we can, the technologies that we can add. I will go from the basics. So at this time, those devices are not in vManage mode. So in order to put them in vManage mode, we will need to put the basic info for the system, and then we will put the basic info for the transport, and we will also add the required management VPN. So let's start with the system. If you go to system, there are a bunch of stuff, but we're going to put only the most important. So we're going to do one, and this is going to be for EMEA, and this is going to be let me add ages, one age, sorry, EMEA, ager, and this is going to be for system. Your templates, names, descriptions need to be really need to have enough details to allow you identify which part of the which template is that and where you need to apply it. When we're going to create the device template, we're going to see why you need to give enough details. So when you start creating the templates, there are two things, let's say three. You're going to see either global or device specific, and here you're going to see either global, device specific, or default. Okay, for at this time we're going just to create templates that will allow us start with the basics. So we're not going to worry about any specific stuff. Any details. Okay, anything that's not required. Okay, to be simple, we only going to add simple and required stuff. So the site ID is required. It must be device specific. That's why it's selected. Device specific is selected. System IP is required. It is also device specific because each device has its own system IP. Okay, so that's going to be device specific. Time zone, we don't worry about that. Overlay ID we keep default. Host name is device specific because each device should have its own name. Location, we're gonna make it device specific. Device group, we leave the default. Controller groups, we leave the default. Description, we're going to put it we can put it device specific as well. Control baud rate, we're going to leave the default. Okay, maximum OMP sessions, we leave the default. Latitude, we're going to put device specific. Longitude, device specific. We don't need this, the new endpoint tracker. We don't need to configure tracker on this one, so we can close this section. I think we should be able to. Okay, let's move on. Advanced, anything advanced we need to add? I don't think so. Control session, meteor, port hopping, port offset, DNS, all this stuff, we don't need anything here, so we can save our system template. So that's the system template. You can see the difference. When a template is created, if no devices attached, it will show 0, but if devices are already attached, it will show the number of devices attached to that template. So let's move on and create the VPN template. So for this, I will give we should see and that's, I should point out the fact that we need for each VPN, okay, for VPN 0, which is the transport, for VPN 10, which is the service, for VPN 512, which is the management, we need 2 templates for each VPNs. Okay, let's say for service you also create other VPNs, VPN 10, 20, any VPN you're going to create, you're going to need 2 templates. You're going to need the VPN template, and you're also going to need the VPN interface Ethernet template. So these are the 2 templates we're gonna need for each VPN. The good thing with this version, it's telling us where these templates can be applied. Some templates can only be applied on the one side, so that's going to be the transport. This template can only be applied on the LAN side, facing facing users or the local area network. And this template, you can see, it can be applied on management, WAN, and LAN. So it's kind of multi-purpose. So we're going to start with the VPN template for VPN 0. And what we need here is the same kind of, we need the WAN. I'm gonna put the region where I'm going to put it, and it's gonna be it's WAN edge. and this is for VPN 0. Okay, I'm gonna take this, copy and paste here. So for this, we're going to keep 0 as the default because this is for VPN 0. We can add the name of the VPN as a global, okay, because we don't need to change anything here. So I can add, this is for transport, let's say internet, because we're also going to have, so this is going to be device specific, I should say, because it will depend. Some VPNs, okay, let's put it global and do transport, because the VPN is for transport anyway, transport VPN, and all this we leave at default. We will need to add the DNS servers. It's gonna be global because we're using the same for all for the entire network. 111. We have two DNS servers on the transport side. So the other one is 172.16.1.1.1. If we want to add a host name, okay, and the correct the IP address that's represent that host name, like in our case we have the vbound host name. We're gonna take this host name and we're gonna add it here, and the IP address that is translated is 192.168.1.2. We can mark it as optional, but this is global, so we can just click add. Okay, and advertise OMP, we're gonna leave the default. Okay, nothing is going to be done here at this time. And an important section, it is required to have a static route, and also basically the way we set up our lab, we have each one edge is connected to two types of transport, MPLS and internet. We will need a static route pointing to the internet and another static route pointing to MPLS. So if we go back here, we can add a new IPv4 route, and the prefix is, we can put it global because it's gonna be the same. Okay, it's gonna be 0000/0. It's pointing to the internet, but the next op is device specific. So we're gonna make it device specific, and I'm gonna specify that this is for VPN 0. So when you create device specific values, you need to make sure that you can put something that will give you, that will make it easy for you to know for which VPN it is. Okay, so this is for VPN 0, and it's gonna be device specific. We can add. Once you add, don't forget to click add here. Okay, now we can click add. So that's for IPv4. The prefix we're pointing to is the default. It is global, so for all device it's gonna be the same, but the next op is device specific. We're gonna add another static route for IPv6. Okay, no, we're going to deploy IPv6 in another session. So that's basically it. The service, we can leave this as it is. And one thing I want to take a look, I think that's all for now. We can save. And the other thing we now need to create a VPN for the interface. Okay, so if you can see here, it's kind of structured VPN and the interface corresponding to that VPN, the one edge VPN, the one edge interface. So we're going to create the one edge interface template for VPN 0. So we're still going with the VH Cloud, and we're now going to create the VPN interface Ethernet, and we're now going to do this. It's gonna be 1 EMEA, that's the region. It's gonna be for the edges, and this is going to be for VPN 0 interface. Okay, so we specify that this template is for VPN 0 but the interface. Shutdown, we should obviously put it no. Okay, that's going to be global, because if you leave it yes, your device will be, the interface will be shut down and it will stop talking to the internet. The interface name, we can put device specific, but we're going to specify that it's for VPN 0. VPN 0, and I'm gonna specify transport. Description, it can be a device specific or global, so we're gonna put let's make it device specific. So I'm gonna add a value here. It's gonna be for VPN 0, and I'm gonna put transport. For the IP address, this is for IPv4. We're going to make it static, but it's going to be device specific, because each device has its own IP address. And we want to update here VPN 0, and also make sure that we put transport. And DHCP helper no, we can leave all this. Here you need to activate the tunnel. Okay, so because if we go, we know that this interface has the tunnel command applied, and it has an encapsulation. You can see that there are services. Okay, there are services. We have the okay, sorry. Okay, we have the services. By default, BGP is not allowed, DHCP is allowed, DNS is allowed, ICMP is allowed, HTTPS is allowed, but all these services are not allowed. Which means if you leave at the default, by the time we're going to add the BGP is not going to come up unless we come back and allow this service. It's going to be the same for NTP and any other services that we need here. So we go back to this, we're going to activate the tunnel. We're going to make it global for now. Okay, we put let's make it device specific. Okay, we don't have it's going to be either global. Okay, let's make it global. I'm going to make it global on, and what we need to adjust is the color. The color is just the type of transport. Okay, we're going to make it more. I'm gonna make VPN 0. Okay, so let's talk about color. If we go to config VPN 0, if I put interface J00 tunnel interface, color, the color is just the type of transport, and it's gonna be either, most of the time, either public internet or MPLS or biz internet and public internet. There are some details, some differences, but for now we're going to use biz. We're going to make it default, device specific, and when we're going to deploy, we're going to use biz internet. So let's go here. It's device specific. Restrict Restrict is just we're gonna leave it off, but when we're going to move on, we're going to see that we have two types of transport. We have the internet. So let's say this is device 1 and device 2. On both sides, we're going to have an interface with internet and another interface with MPLS. MPLS. When it is restricted, it means internet can create tunnels only with internet. MPLS only with MPLS. But when it is not restricted as it is, internet can create a tunnel with MPLS, vice versa. Okay, so that's just about the restrict option. But for at this time, we're going to leave it to the default. That's where we can create tunnels with any type of transport, and we're going to see why that might not be a good idea. Maximum control connections, we can leave the default. One of the things that you need to check when you create, okay, these are the services. As you can see, you can allow all services. If you click here, you're going to allow all services. We're going to leave it as it is. That's where we can move on and see some stuff that won't come up, and we're going to come back and change, so on. So if we go, there's here advanced option. If we click on it, this is where you can choose the encapsulation, and by default IPsec is the encapsulation, and we're gonna leave it at that default. So that's NAT we don't need, VRRP we don't need, ACL-QoS we don't need, 802.1x advanced. These are the advanced options. Duplex, you can adjust the meter. We're going to adjust the meter when we're going to configure some advanced protocols like MPLS. You have PMTU discovery, like to adjust the size of the meter when the packet travels along the network, but we're going to leave it at that default. We're going to leave everything as they are. We're going to click save. So that's for the VPN 0 interface. Let's add the VPN 512 really quick, and that's going to make it for our templates. We're going to go to VH Cloud, VPN. So for this VPN, as you can see, let me show, there is not much on it. Show running config VPN 512. So the interface does not have anything, so it's gonna be the same for the templates. But we need the templates, so it's required. We're gonna do one EMEA edge, and this is going to be VPN 512. And basically we're going to change the VPN number, and the name we're going to make it global. It's going to be management VPN. Everything else I think will be the default. Okay, there's nothing to adjust here. It's just because if you don't add it, your config will not be deployed, because it's required. So that's why we putting these templates. And the VH Cloud, the device VH Cloud, and the VPN interface Ethernet for VPN 0. So we're going to add an interface for VPN 0. We're going here, one EMEA edge. It's gonna be VPN 512 interface. Okay, and here as well, nothing to do. We better leave it at shutdown, okay, because we're not going to use. We're just going to take the interface, this interface, and add. So this is not going to be device specific. It's gonna be the same for all devices. Description, we can add a description just to say management interface. Okay, so that's gonna be it. You don't need to put an IP address. You can leave it to as it is, or we can put dynamic. That's all we can save. So we have all the required templates, and the next step that we're going to do, when we come back for the next session, we're going to create our device template from the feature templates that we just created, and we'll see you next time.